Hi, welcome to Pai Love Story. I'm your host, Lilia. I live in Pai, a magical little town in northern Thailand where every day feels like a festival and every connection feels a little bit distant. This podcast is about the love stories that happen here, the short ones, the forever ones, the ones that break you open. Because something about Pai changes people, and love here is never ordinary. Hello everybody, welcome to this Pai Love Story. I'm sitting with Loulou Celest, who I had the pleasure meeting at Paradise, actually. I saw her first time at the Saturday market, but I was just like, she's so beautiful and just so brave. And she was just all out interacting with the crowd in the Saturday market. And at Paradise, I just couldn't hold my curiosity. I have to talk to this woman. And she did a rap in Danish on the stage. And I was really blown away by her performance and also her courage, her presence, her stories. So without further ado, I want to introduce you, Loulou Celest. How about you just tell us more about yourself?
Ooh, hello, I'm Loulou Celest. Well, what do you want to know?
About a little bit about your background and your story.
Okay, well, it's a long story, but I can try to make it short. I can start by saying I'm a Danish woman. I'm also a trans woman. And I met Lily when I was traveling in Thailand, in Pai here. And I'm currently on my world tour with my rap, which is what Lily also commented. And I played a Danish song at that Paradise Circus, which was really interesting to have a whole international crowd sing along to a Danish chorus. That was a very interesting experience because in my country, Denmark, we're only 6 million people. So it's only 6 million people that speak my native tongue, Danish. So that was very fun to experience.
Yeah. Okay, so where in Denmark did you grow up?
I grew up a little north of Copenhagen, a place called Kokkedal. Yeah, sort of an area that was very mixed, very diverse, with a lot of different social classes and a lot of different people from many different places in the world, which is something today I'm very happy about because it made me open to a lot of different things and ideas and people and contexts also, you could say, maybe. Yeah, and then once I got like 18, around that age, I moved to Copenhagen, which is the capital, and I've lived there since. And now maybe I'll move away from Copenhagen once I started my tour here. I don't know, because rent is very high in Copenhagen.
So what brought you to Pai then? You said you are on the world tour.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, what brought me to Pai was that I have a few friends in Denmark that are from mainland China originally, and they were all going to this festival in the north of Thailand called Shambhala. And I was like, I'm in Asia to play my music, not so much to go on festival, but at the same time, maybe it's a chance to meet people, or maybe I could play at the festival, maybe not at the main stage. And it did work out. I did play a few times. It was very good. Not at the main stage, but other places. So anyway, I decided to go to Pai. I ended up in Pai because I went to the Shambhala festival. And as it turned out, the two people I knew that was going, for various reasons, ended up not going. But I went anyway. And the most funny thing is I actually met one of their best friends. And we didn't know that they knew each other, which was extremely funny coincidence. Enough about that. Sorry. So back to the point. So after Shambhala Festival, I had made a lot of new friends, and it seemed like everyone was going to Pai. So many was going to this Pai place even further up in the mountains, and I was like, I have a calling. Okay, I'll go to Pai too, and that's how I ended up in Pai.
Nice. Yeah, what struck me the most is when you told me that you were transgender, and I didn't didn't know that you
Yeah.
were one. When I saw you at the Saturday market, I just remember that, wow, this woman is extremely tall. And then she's very unique. She wears Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
She wears all this like pink unicorn.
Yeah.
She's more feminine than I am. And I feel a little bit ashamed in front of her.
Oh.
But I was also very beautiful that day. I tried my best.
You're always very.
But we didn't have a conversation because I was actually a little bit intimidated by you. But the second time I saw you, I think it was a very brief moment in 7-Eleven, but you were so sweet as well. And the third time is that I finally had the courage to go up to you. Yeah, I'm very attracted to you actually with your presence and everything. It's so amazing. And then when I finally sat down last week at Saturday market, I was actually in the middle of I was very teary-eyed. I was very touched by your stories. Yeah, just like I probably shared a little bit earlier in my show that I was just like, I was thinking that, today I should probably not be so beautiful today, but you are like the one who was always thinking like, I go out to present myself. It's scary, but I want to be as feminine as I want. So tell us more about your journey, because I'm very curious. I'm sure there are some people who are also very curious of your journey of coming out to be the authentic you.
Mm-hmm.
I think is so motivating.
Okay, well, first of all, also thanks for all the compliments and the nice things you say. That's very touching. Yeah, my journey of coming out it's been rather hard. It's been a big journey, and I don't look like what I've been through, which is a very big blessing also. But it started when I was doing performance art, and during one of these performance art, I sat on a lamppost for an hour, and when I sat on that lamppost, I was in costume. I didn't look like myself at all. I looked like a character that didn't look happy at all. But to me, inside, it was such a amazing feeling in my chest of victory, because for the first of all, I was sitting on a lamppost 3.5 meters tall, as the sun was rising behind me, and it's rather like a bit dangerous sitting up there, and I'm no trained stunt person. I'm no expert in jumping down from high places, so there was some fear in me also, but I was also feeling very this sense of victory, because for the first time in my life I was living art. I wasn't performing art or attempting to make art or finding something. I was like, I was the art. I was living the art, and I loved that. And then when I finally jumped down, an accident happened, and I sort of fell down because my legs had started to sleep. Full disclaimer, don't do this. I can't advise it. But that made me get a really bad concussion. It's when you hit your head. It's called post-commotional syndrome. It's when you get a concussion when you hit your head, and the bad effects don't go away. So I was very sensitive to light and sensitive to sound. So I spent almost a whole year inside in darkness, blocking out the sun, only going out to shop for groceries at night, and not seeing a lot of people, and just becoming very depressed. And I think everyone would become depressed by that. And in that darkness, I promised myself that if I ever get out of this, if I ever get back to a normal life, being able to be outside, listen to music, see the sun, I will live for me. I will, as simple as that, right? That was very strong to my core. I was like, if I get a life again, I won't live for everyone else. I won't do what they expect, what that person expects. I'll find out what I want, what's true to me. And that was sort of the starting of my coming out journey, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before then, did you do any research on becoming a transgender?
No.
Wow. So how did you go through that transition?
Well, first of all, I didn't know I was transgender. The start of the journey was like, because of what I just said, I was brave enough. I had hit a low enough point to be willing enough to find out what's going on inside of me, right? Why has it always felt weird when I've been, for example, interacting with women? Because there's no doubt in my mind that I was attracted to women, but they also always sort of had an expectation that I would step into this masculine role when we were together. And that never felt right for me. It always felt like I was sort of like hurting myself doing that. So in some way, that was maybe the start of it also, right? Exploring this, being curious about this, like what's up with this? And from that, I started to research different things. And one of them was transgender. And when I read about transgender first time, I remember I was like, so here it says it's people that are assigned male at birth, which means the doctor looks at the baby and says, this is a boy, but they don't feel like a boy. They feel like a woman. But then at the same paragraph, it said that these people, transgender, also feel like they're attracted to men because they're women. And then I was like, well, I know for a fact I'm not really attracted to men, so I can't be a trans woman. That was the start of it for me. Just to give you an example of like, I didn't know anything. I didn't really have any queer friends. At least not that I talked to about this, right? So I was very alone with all of it. So I just started slowly reading online about it. Until then also I found out, but you can be a trans woman and be attracted to women. It's not unheard of. This also exists. Then I was like, maybe. But at the same time, I had so much internal conflict and resistance against all of this because I didn't grow up in environments where these things were, first of all, a thing to begin with. Like, when I grew up, I didn't know what transgender was. So I didn't have anything to like put that on. I didn't have a shelf in the house to put that thing on. Oh, this must be it. I didn't even know. And also I grew up in environments that were very rough. And these rough environments had a lot of homophobia and transphobia and a lot of different things also. So me growing up, it was very much about protecting myself. So I didn't feel safe enough to even explore these things. That could be one way of saying it also. And because of that, I had a lot of resistance against it because I was socialized as a man and taught how to be a man. And in being a man, unfortunately, the way I was taught of being a man was also setting a lot of boundaries between what's a man and what's not a man, what's good and what's not good, right? And these things lived inside of me, which gave me a lot of like resistance and self-hatred also, you could say, right? Yeah, so that was the start of it, then exploring that. And then once I realized that this was a thing, I had such a hard time accepting it and I had so much fear about it that I didn't come out publicly. I didn't dare to walk publicly. But at the same time, one thing is the environment I grew up in was a bit rough, but the place I lived was also a bit unfortunate. And I would get threats on the street, which is not normal in Denmark. But the people that hung out in front of the place I lived were sort of not the best sort. And that, of course, did not motivate me to come down in a dress when I already was like feeling a bit by walking outside my door, right? So in the end, it ended up with my intuition told me to go to Bornholm, which is a little island in the Eastern Sea that's very remote and very rural. And I laughed a bit at myself when my intuition told me that because I'm like, well, what am I going to do there? What am I going to do on this little teeny beeny island?
Yeah, so pretty.
But at the same time, I had been there a few times and the energy there is very strong.
Attracted to
Yeah,
the
it's
energy.
very strong. Like the energy in the nature there is very strong.
Yeah, like I'm attracted to Pai nature as well.
Makes very good sense, right? Sometimes we're just attracted to these places and we can't always explain it. And maybe I'll get more into that in this podcast, maybe not, but I've always felt energies and all these things. So in that way, it made even more sense to me, right? But at the same time, I laughed at myself because I'm like, I'm in the process of this transgender thing. Bornholm doesn't seem like an easy place to explore that.
No.
Yeah. But the reason why I did it was because even though I probably knew it was going to be tough, it was easier, the idea of being someplace where no one knew me than being at home where everyone knew me. That seemed even more frightening because I weren't ready to face myself. So how it felt too much to face others. That's sort of what I was saying.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, could you tell us like what was the first step that you did? Because like you mentioned that it's just like you are very feminine. You must did a lot of work. So how did you how did you become who you are? And you have such a soft skin.
Well, I've always had soft skin.
You're very blessed.
Yeah. And I also been blessed with a very small larynx, as you commented the first time we talked about this. The Adam's apple.
Hardly see her Adam's apple.
And but it's one of those things where I like to, with a sly smile, say nature has always known. It's always known. Like maybe I didn't know, maybe the society didn't know, but somehow there's always been something.
You're right.
Maybe, right? Sorry, what was the question again?
What was the first step? Like I'm curious about the process and also your routine now to maintain it.
But again, this shows compartmentalization, how these things how things can be so hard for us to deal with.
True.
That we put them away in different boxes inside of us and somehow are able to, in some cases, lock them in a box inside of ourselves and throw away the key and forget about it.
Right.
Me being transgender is a lot about that also.
Okay.
Because 9 years ago, I was in Japan. And in Japan, for the first time in my life, I bought a pair of panties. And looking back on it now, when we talk about it, I kind of forgotten that memory came back. And it was a very big thing for me to put that on. It was like, because so in some way you could say that was one of the first things. And maybe there's more things before that I can't even remember, but that was a big thing. But at the same time, after I had done that, it's not like, and then I knew I was a trans woman and then I came out. It was still compartmentalized to somewhere because you must also realize my whole life, I sort of played a role. I'd worn a uniform. The uniform was boy/male clothing. The role to play was being a boy, then being a man. It never felt right to me. It was just a role I played to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And the better I got at playing the role, the more positive feedback I got from the world. That was the worst part of it. But it just never really felt like me. And the reason why I give this as something that was a big thing was that when I put that underwear on, then for the first time, I sort of felt something when I wore something. I felt, ooh. I can't explain exactly what it was. Maybe it was feeling girly. It was feeling something. Where before it had felt more like a uniform. When I put clothing on, it felt like, I don't know. You go to work in a welding place. You put on a blue big suit because you're welding and there'll be sparks. It's practical. It makes sense. That's sort of how it felt when I put on jeans and a t-shirt as a man. It made sense for the role I was playing in society and among other people. But it didn't feel like anything I liked. I'll put it like that, right? So even though I had done that, and I just told you how in that darkness I started to explore it more, and it felt like this was the first time I got in contact with it, there was something back then in Japan that I got in contact with, right? And the reason why I bought it in Japan was because sometimes when we travel, as you're probably aware of yourself, there's a certain freedom that comes when we travel, when we're not close to all the people we're normally close to.
Right.
We're just ourselves. And it gives some freedom to like try new things. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because remembering that, I also remember and when I bought that 9 years ago, I also slowly started to shave my body a lot. Because I noticed that when I shaved the hair off my body, I would feel way better.
Yeah.
I'd like that way more. And I remember also I had many years where I couldn't shave every day because I would get red bumps on my skin. Because, like I said, I've always had princess skin, very good skin. But it means that when I had rougher beard growing out, if I shaved every day, it would get irritated, so to speak, right?
But you have such a smooth skin. I hardly see any hair.
Well, thank you, honey. But that's because
I probably have more facial hair than you do.
But that's because I've put in a lot of effort to not have facial hair now. It didn't happen by itself.
I'm so inspired by you. Now whenever I put on my own panties, I'm going to be woo.
You should.
Yes.
You should. Or maybe do the opposite. Try putting on male boxer shorts and see if that makes you feel better. And if it does, maybe, I don't know.
I just had a recent experience, actually, and I felt really good.
It felt good?
Yeah, I feel really good. It was my lover's boxer shorts, and I was just like, feel like really special.
Super funny.
Yeah, super funny.
Or super interesting, right? Yeah. It's interesting. And it's not funny, it's interesting. Well, maybe you should explore that more. I don't know. For me, one of the best things is to like have people come up to me and tell me that they've explored something with trying a different pronoun, for example. Like someone came up to me once and said they don't feel like a him. It never felt like a him. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe try in different contexts. You can try to say that you're not a him. You don't have to say it to everyone and do it online now, but just explore it a bit. Right. And then the person came back to me some time after and was like, okay, you know what, Loulou Celest, I've tried and I found out that it's so much work. Mm-hmm. And it's so incredibly hard for the outside world to say they or them or to say she to me. But I'm so glad I did it because I found out that even though I don't vibe with him or her, I actually don't care. And the amount of effort I have to put into the other is not worth it for me. So now I'm just he, him, like before, but I've explored that and I feel way better about it because I don't really care. And that to me is a very great example of that's great. The whole world's not transgender and no one's trying to make the world transgender, but everyone, I think, can benefit from like giving it like these things, give things a chance in general, right? And it doesn't even have to be that extreme. It can be wear another type of makeup. See how that makes you feel. Wear less makeup, wear more makeup. Wear green instead of wear blue. You can do many things.
I love that.
Just give it, explore it a bit, right? Because usually people find out when they explore. A lot of people go end to the point close to where they started, but they're still richer in some way, right? Because they know that now they deliberately chose what they're doing more than before. Maybe I could say it like that.
Amazing.
Oh, that was sort of a, yeah.
That's amazing. I'm also in a self-discovery journey. Yes. That 11 years ago started this podcast. I started another podcast 11 years ago. And then I've been traveling around the world for 10 years. It was like a continually self-discovery. And just recently I discovered that I'm not a straight woman. I'm actually a pansexual woman. That means, that I can have either romantic attraction or emotional attraction, physical attraction with a person regardless of their gender. So, which is like makes so much sense to me for my past. I'm physically attracted to men. Intelligently, I'm very attracted to men, but I really love girlfriends. My female friends, I can probably form a more romantic, like a relationship with them than with men. So I just discovered that and it was very enlightening. I had my first really close female friend here, and she left for India. But I remember when she left, I was so heartbroken. I feel like some part of me lost, and then was really sad, grieving. She was leaving for a couple. I was grieving for a couple of days, and then I was just rediscover myself, which is very empowering. Just like you said, we can live in the place where there's no sex around, I just see you as a person. I don't see you a boy or girl or man or woman, but I'm hanging out with your soul,
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, but Yeah, we go off topic a little
Yeah,
bit.
we go off topic a lot, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. But yeah, there must be like, what is the
We can get back on topic.
Yeah, like I love that what my podcast was about also about is like suffering and pain and how we come out of it. What was the hardest moment when you are going through? Because I have no idea. Do you have surgery for something that you done to yourself?
Yeah, I got more hair in the top of my head. You probably can't see that either.
You have beautiful hair.
Yeah, but I used to have I don't even know what the term is in English. Male pattern baldness is maybe called. I used to have lost some hair up here at the sides of the top of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way to explain it? And first of all, I didn't like that very much, but it was a very interesting example also of, but the world coded that as masculine. So no matter how feminine I looked, how feminine I dressed, if I showed that, people would think I was a man.
Oh, really?
In general, yeah. Yeah.
How about wigs?
I wore wigs.
Yeah.
And I also wore a lot of scarves over to hide it and stuff like that. But it was a big thing. It was a big pain regarding that.
Yeah.
And it also seemed very hopeless with my financial situation because I couldn't really.
Yeah, I heard that transplant is very expensive.
Most cosmetic surgeries are very expensive.
Right.
A lot of things are very expensive, right? So it felt very hopeless for me. Because also we're jumping a lot in my coming out story, which may be good. I don't know, maybe bad. But because I'd already started hormones, which was a big step for me. But hormones sometimes can make the hair grow back out and sometimes not. And in my case, it was not. The hair did not grow back out on the top of the head.
What happened? What changes you experienced?
Oh, a lot of changes. But I can tell you that afterward. Okay. Now I'll tell you asked about surgery. And this was a surgery I got. Okay. And at first I was very hopeless because my living situation in Copenhagen is so expensive with the rent that I couldn't save any money.
Yeah.
So because of that, it seemed very hopeless. How am I going to get this operation? And finally, I was saved sort of by community. I went around to different places in Copenhagen and asked if I could have a fundraising party. And in the end, so many people came together and supported me. And
Beautiful.
We had different musicians come and play, and a venue allowed us to host it there. And so many friends pitched in different ways. I'll forever be thankful for that. And we moved it. So the idea always was that I would do my best to kick in the door to make this something that could be done. So there could also be events held for other people, because this was not so much a thing in Denmark, but it is a thing other places in the world. It was not so much a thing in Denmark. And I'm happy to say that there are more events like this being held now in Denmark, which makes me very happy. Which makes me very, very extremely happy, right?
You're the pioneer, the OG.
No, there's been events like that before also. So I won't go in and take all the credit. And also, I could never have done any of it without the people that supported me in that. So they're the OGs too. And yeah. But so all the credit goes to everyone that pitched in whatever way they did. Just came to the party, and party 2, that was a big thing too, right? So shout out to Bolsjefabrikken and shout out to Bøssehuset in Copenhagen for being the venues, and shout out to everyone who helped.
Oh my God.
Oh my love. So that was sort of unreal happiness that somehow I was able to get enough money to pay for that. And that's changed my life also, for sure. Every single day I'm happy about that.
Yeah, now you look at yourself, you're like, oh, admiring all the love that is here.
Yeah.
Although you would go with us.
Yeah.
But there's
The
still
best
so
thing
much
is-
love that you can look at.
Yeah, the best thing is that I don't think so much about it anymore, where before I would think about it negatively all the time.
Oh,
And this is a very good example of one of the hardest things when it comes to self-love, I think.
yeah.
Self-love and appearance is, should you change anything?
Mm.
Right? This is such a hard thing to answer. I can answer it for me, but I will say it with a lot of, what's it called? Like reference. I'll say it with a lot of like, everyone should be free to decide what's right for them in this case. Can people get too much plastic surgery? I think most people would agree they can. But I'm not one to judge who has too much plastic surgery. It must be people self who decide how much is too much, right? Because for me personally, I know the before and after for me, and it's profound. It's profound. And I could have spent my whole life listening to all these things that we hear that are like meant from a good place. Oh, you shouldn't change anything. You should love yourself exactly the way you are. And these things are complex because in one way, this is absolutely true. But in another way, I also view it as like we're also a little human monkey. We also have that nature in us, and that nature in us is a very social creature, and it's affected. Of course, it's affected by the world around us. So if I go down the street and everybody looks at me super weird because my hair looks like that, it will affect me. And I can say, as someone who has more normal hairline now, it absolutely does affect me a lot, right? So this is an example of that. So it's hard. It's hard to say anything categorically about, other than for me, I'm very happy I did it. I've regretted it 0% of any. I don't regret it. That's the best thing I did.
wow.
Yeah.
Nice. How about the hardest moment for like your transition? Like a hair, bodily
I don't even
change?
know the hardest moment. There's so many hard moments. But it's
Still.
interesting. It's interesting when you ask for the hardest moment. The first thing I think about is I blank. I'm like, I don't know. Is there one hardest moment? There's been many.
It's so hard.
Yeah, there's been many hard moments. There's also been many beautiful moments. But I don't know if there's any single hardest moments. I mean, I can talk about some of them, but it's dark,
It's very dark.
right? It's
Yeah.
dark.
Can you tell us also a story, just how you came over?
I came over.
Yeah, how you like overcome that.
We can focus on that. That's nice. Well, I can maybe say it like this, that so basically my whole life I've been so afraid of being me, of being transgender woman. I didn't even know what that was, but somehow I was still very afraid of it, of even exploring it, even as a kid. So every day when I started to dress as a woman, and it felt very good to me, but especially in the beginning when we call it passing, is when you walk down the street and someone in a split second thinks this is a woman or this is a man, where in the beginning I did not pass at all. And unfortunately, I think most places in the world, when you don't pass, you receive a lot of negative comments, strange looks, just have a lot of difficult experiences from the outside world, unfortunately, right? So in that way, it was so extremely tough every single day. And I asked myself so many times if it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
And all those nights of crying, there's also times where I said to myself, it wasn't worth it. But at the same time, I kept on doing it. The reason why I did it was because it just felt right. Huh? It's like sometimes when people ask me, why do you wear a dress? Why are you so feminine? And I ask them, why don't you wear a dress? If they're a man, for example, that don't wear a dress, right? Or I'll say, why don't you wear whatever, a wife beater and khaki pants and da-da-da? And then they say, and then sometimes they think about it and then they say, well, because I don't like to. And then I say, well, yeah, it's sort of the same. It's because I like to. and I don't like to wear the other thing, right? Sometimes people make it very complicated. Oh, they must be so different. Yeah, but maybe it's not so different. Maybe it's really not that different, right? Yeah, but going back to, so I've been doing the thing I feared my whole life. I've been doing that every day, walking out of the world. This is what I am. And I've really received so much negative pushback for that. And I've still done it. And now it's less and less pushback. And now I'm so blessed that some days I don't receive anything bad. It's rare, but I receive a lot of good also. And I'm so incredibly blessed. And I appreciate that in a whole other way because I've had to go through all this to get it. Huh? So in some ways, getting over it, that's one of the biggest victories, right? Is that I've paid the cost, so to speak, right, to be me, and I pay it gladly every day.
So beautiful. Okay, so back to the Pai Love Story.
Yeah.
We're going to focus on love story.
Love.
How has being the transgender like shape your experience of love?
What kind of love do you mean?
We touch a little bit on self-love.
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit more about self-love and also
For
romantic love.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. It's fine. Well, self-love is the biggest gift we can receive, I think, because it's something we give ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where if you go online or listen to people, we'll hear so many things. And I'm not against what people say. It's just that, like many profound or big things, they are often a bit more complicated than someone just saying, you should just love yourself. Great. Well, what about all the people that don't love themselves? Or me personally that did not love myself? How do I apply that? How do I start loving myself, right? And for me, that's been one of the biggest journeys alongside all of this. It has been starting to love myself. For the first time in my life, if someone says I'm beautiful, I can take it in. I smile and I say thank you, and somehow I feel it inside. I'm like, thank you. Where if we go back a few years, it would not be that. It would be a way lesser degree of that, right? And that's what, I don't know, even maybe it sounds so big also, but when I'm saying it now, I'm saying like, that feels like such a big victory. So like such a big victory. And how I did that was a lot of work, a lot of different things applied consistently, I think. Consistency is a big thing, right? If we want to rewire ourselves. And this takes me back to Bornholm, where I came out, where Bornholm, as I talked about before, was absolutely not an easy place to come out as a transgender woman, because the little island was not used to seeing people like me. And I have a lot of love for the people on that island. It's not to talk bad about them. There's a lot of great things to say. But at the same time, it's not a place that's known for being full of queer people, because there's not a lot of queer people. At least there weren't when I was there, because a lot of them move, because it's hard being queer there, right? And in that place, I felt very, very less than, and I felt very worthless a lot of the time. This is something I've been dealing with my whole life, and something a lot of people are dealing with. And one of the things that helped me was, maybe I can share on self-love in this regard. I'll say two things.
Okay.
One thing that helped me was a story about a nun from the Catholic faith. And the full disclosure, I'm not a Catholic myself, but there was something about that story, because again, I was very curious. So I went online and I talked about and searched about self-love and self-worth and what is there? What do people do? What do people find inspiration in? What do people use? And there was this story about, she's called Saint Therese. And she has a story about God's little flowers, how we're all flowers in God's garden, and how it's easy to look at the big and beautiful flowers like the sunflower and the lily and these, and really feel, wow, they're so beautiful and they shine and and then you go in the grass and there's these small little daisies, exactly, right? And it's easy when you're a daisy to look up at the big powerful flowers and think they're so much better than me. What can I do? I don't even smell. I don't even have a wonderful aroma. I don't look so good. People can't even see me. They step on me. And the essence of this, that's something that stuck with me, that I used to repeat a lot to myself when I felt worthless, was that, well, we were all created by the same thing. That in the eyes of that which is greater than us, the big sunflower is not more worthy. It's not better. It's just as valuable as the little daisy that no one can see in the grass. You're just worth as much as that. And somehow that struck with me. And it's something I repeated a lot to myself. When I felt worthless, that's something I picked up, sort of like I picked up like, okay, I try to remember this. And in the beginning, it's not like it did a huge change, but it made me feel something, right? It maybe healed just a tiny bit, something like that.
For me, you are the sunflower. For me, you're the sunflower. You stand out.
That's true. And maybe that is true.
And you're the tallest too.
But I for sure did not feel like that. You have to understand that I did not feel like that, right? And it did not, and it didn't make it easier with all the bad ideas I had in my head about self-worth and also transphobia against myself, being transgender, blah blah blah. And then it did not make it easier. People stopping on their bikes in the street, pointing at me and dehumanizing me, did not make it easier, right? And I would run every morning
I want to smack all these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But smack him lovingly though. I don't want you to hurt.
Oh, all right.
I know.
My heart like.
Yeah. But if I am the sunflower today, then let me be an example of that even the little daisy can become a sunflower, right? Because I did not feel like a sunflower at all. At all. It's something that I've cultivated in me. And that's very beautiful and that's valuable, right? So that was one thing I did. And then another thing I did was Marissa Peer is someone that that I follow. Do you know her?
Mm-hmm.
She talks a lot about like the essence of one of the things she talks about is I am enough.
She's world famous.
Exactly. She's very famous. She talks a lot about this idea of being enough, that most of our problems as humans stem from the idea on some level we don't feel enough.
Yeah.
And writing I am enough on the mirror, repeating to ourselves I am enough, using it everywhere. And when I lived on Bornholm, for example, I took that very serious. I wrote it on my mirror. Sometimes I find old boxes in my room and I open the box, and then inside the box, I will have written, I am enough in Danish. And on all sides of the box, they will say, I am enough. So I don't write it anymore, but I still find it everywhere. And which goes to show how serious I took this. And for me personally, I will say it's been part of it too. It's been part of this healing too. These things work. Yeah.
So lovely.
So that's sort of been part of the big love story that I have with myself.
Yeah. How about romance? You said that you are lesbian.
Yes. I'm lesbian with the caveat that like I'm open to being with a man. I'm starting to call myself lesbian because I have not been with a man and my attraction to men is like I'm jokingly saying at this point I'm not sure it's gonna happen. Like it's not really happening. I'm very open to it. But yeah, it seems to be a pattern that is women. But at the same time, how do you define lesbian? I've been with trans men, and trans men are absolutely men.
So you might be pansexual like me.
Again, and trans men are absolutely men also. But it's just like assigned male at birth, men, cis men that feel like men. It doesn't really happen. It hasn't happened yet. But I'm very open to it, right? So if that's a lesbian, then I'm a lesbian. If you call it pansexual, I'm pansexual. I don't know. Personally, I'm open. I'm open to what happens. But there seems to be a pattern that it's that it's been women or trans men.
How about the past few years? Do you have any love story that developed?
You want to hear my love story? It's so personal. It's so personal.
It's so Pai Love Story.
Oh,
give us some juicy stories.
Yeah, well, I've had several.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Tell us about one, the most most memorable?
Yeah. Well, one of them that's very memorable was this American that I met. That was very memorable. And our first date lasted 17 hours. That's a long time.
Yeah.
We slept a little in between too. And yeah, for me, it's just sometimes you meet these people and the connection is just so strong. It's just like lightning. Boom! That was sort of how it was with this person, right? It was just very deep. Very fast. But didn't last though. And I don't know if I'll see them again in this life.
It didn't last. You mean you and her?
Yeah.
Why? What was the reason that you broke up?
Well, I think that our lives were very different also, I think, right? First of all, she was an American, so she didn't live in Denmark. It's the ocean between us. I was at the point where I was open to explore. Again, that's the romantic part of me that's like, I don't know how the future is gonna look. I just know right now. And I knew that I like this person a lot. But it was very intense, like right from the beginning. We only had a week together, where we saw each other 4 times because I was leaving for South America and they were leaving too.
You were in South America.
No, I was leaving to South America.
Okay, so you were in Denmark when you met
I was in
her.
Denmark. We met in Denmark, but they don't live in Denmark. They were also just visiting, right? And I also remember while we saw each other, I think the second time we saw each other was the day after or 2 days after, where I also thought in my back of my head, I'm like, this is very like, boom, it's very intense. Almost like, part of me says forcing it, but it wasn't forcing it, but it's like, it would probably be better to take it more slow. A part of me knew that. But at the same time, there was also a part of me that's like,
Urgency.
yeah, urgency, because we don't have very long to meet each other. And at the same time, a connection like this is special, right?
Yeah.
And that's also why when I look back on it now, there's a part of me that's like, could we still be in each other's life if we had taken it more slow? Would I have preferred that? Maybe, because the connection I have with this person, I feel there's some form of sorrow there that we're not in each other's lives now. I'm also okay with it. It is what it is. But could it have been differently? Yeah, I would have liked that. But at the same time, I also understand why I did what I did and why it happened like it happened. And at the same time, I'm also happy that date, the second date, which was very close after, and I also wrote this to the person. I also wrote, a part of me is saying this is way too fast. We should probably keep it slow. But there's also a part of me that sees that this is special. So I think we should meet. So in that way, I think it was sort of mature, where we both went into it sort of with open eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like that part of it
Oh,
also.
beautiful. Was there any difficulty for you being in love as your identity now?
With them or with other people?
With other people, with her.
With other people.
Yeah, it's like is it your identity
mean?
a problem at all?
I'm just sitting here and thinking, I think I used the wrong pronoun for them, so I'd like to apologize. They use them.
Them.
They, them. Yeah. But people use the other pronouns, but I want to respect that, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, what was your question?
Yeah, like what happened? Do you have any like difficulties as like dating as a transgender? Like, was that affecting your relationships, romantic relationship?
Well, I think there's a lot of difficulties with that in general. I think anyone that steps outside of these very narrow normal boxes will experience difficulties in many aspects, I think. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, it depends on the people that you then hook up with or that you meet, because there's some people where it's no problem. And in many ways, I would encourage people to stick to those, right? But who knows?
Yeah.
But this person in particular we're talking about, it was not an issue. It was amazing.
Okay.
There was
Nice.
nothing.
Beautiful.
But a lot of people I've been with since coming out have not been with transgender people. Also, we aren't that many transgender people, so in that way, it also makes sense, right? And I think also I'm blessed that I haven't this big attraction to men, because usually trans women can unfortunately experience from men more of these negative things.
Right. True. Yeah. Because like Thailand, such an open place, men can be women, women can be men, and then it's so open.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel more accepted in Pai in general?
Yeah, I think so. It will be the short answer would be yeah. My best story about Thailand is the first things that happens when I land in Thailand is I go through immigration or whatever it's called. I give my passport to the strict lady behind the counter. She looks at me, she looks at the passport, she looks at me, looks up at me and says, "You look very narak." And I don't speak any Thai, so
it means cute.
yeah, so but I ask her, so what does narak mean? And she said, it means you're cute. And then I give her K-pop hearts and smile at her and like, "Ee." And then she starts jiggling behind the counter, even though she was very serious before. She becomes all, and then that's when I knew immediately that it was going to be a very good time in Thailand.
That is super cute. Pai is so laid back and so relaxed.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Chiang Mai, going through the immigration to get my visa extended is such a nightmare. But in Pai, it's so easy breezy. Just go in and out like 15 minutes, and then the person behind the counter give you compliments as well, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So since your time here is so short, this question is, have you experienced any special romantic moment in Pai?
I can actually say, I don't think I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just such a pity. No.
Not even with me.
Well, depends on how you take a special romantic moment, because there's also a chance that there'll be hundreds of people listening to this podcast that all feel that they experience special romantic moments with me, that go home
true.
heartbroken. I'm joking. I'm joking.
She's so serious. I almost believed her. And I feel a little bit heartbroken. She said she didn't have a romantic moment with me.
But
we were holding hands.
But all jokes aside, what do you mean by romantic moment? Was us holding hands, having a moment here, was that romantic?
I feel a little bit.
Okay. Well, if that's your bar, then I've had many romantic moments. Extreme. And that way I'm blessed. It's left and right. I give little hearts and kisses and compliment them, and they compliment me and do. So if that's the bar, then yes, Pai's great for that. But I'm more meaning like,
okay.
I haven't had moments where we lay and watch the sunset rise and it's just me and this person and it's so romantic. I haven't had that.
We are watching the sunset together. You're just back at the sun.
Maybe I'm having one right now.
The sunsetting moment is right behind us.
Well, maybe let this be an example of maybe I'm just not aware of these things. Maybe they are happening every single day. For example, I can just pound it out. It's happening right now. So I changed my answer. I go back. Yes, I've had them constantly in Pai. All the time. I'm just not always aware of them.
Yeah, because when you were like talking about your love story that you had once, it's actually describing a lot of people's situation in Pai, because a lot of people, they are transitioning.
Yeah.
They were wondering about what Pai was like. They took the 3 hours bus from Chiang Mai. experiencing car sickness, and finally winding road leads them to this beautiful mountain town, and they fell in love with someone, but that one person is going home like in a week. Yeah, especially like that. That's like a lot of love stories happening here, you know? Yeah, so you might already love the impression to many people, and then they fell in love a little bit ashamed that you are leaving in 2 days, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if I go off topic by saying I've been to Shambhala Festival right before Pai, and there it's been more a case of what you're talking about here, right? There was someone I flirted with, and and then it sort of disappeared into nothing. And I just thought of that when you said this about Pai, because that's sort of, unfortunately, I think, how it is for a lot of people when you are on vacation and you go to places like Pai or a festival next to Pai and all these things, right? Where sparks can fly, but you need. I don't even have all the answers. I was about to say you need that. I don't know what you need, but I can say that from my part, I'm surprised that it seems a lot of people are more unwilling to give things a chance than I am. I can say that.
Ooh.
I can say that.
Wow.
No, but it's like the flirt I talked with before, or the crush, or whatever we want to call it, where it's like, I don't meet someone and then I plan out, okay, so in 2 years, we'll have 3 dogs and we'll live in Berlin and we'll be named this and the house will be this. I'm not like that at all. I try more to be like, if I meet someone and I really like them, then I get even more curious. I want to see where things go. And that doesn't mean I want to take things super fast, but it means that I want to like explore what could be. Maybe that's the best way I can say it. I'm willing to explore what could be. And I'm also, maybe that's also where I am in my life now, where I'm open to that, right? Yeah, and also in my own experience and looking at others and talking with those around me, it seems like not everyone is as open to that as I am. And I think that surprised me a little bit.
Ooh, interesting. Wow. Ever since I started this podcast, a lot of miracles that happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah, because I become open and people become open with me.
Yeah.
And that is like super amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in the future because, yeah,
I think you
some
should.
of the stories can be still private right now because the person is still present very, very in proximity. So they don't want to be like, they don't want to be talked about.
Oh, well, then I absolutely think you should respect that, right?
Yes.
But this makes sense. All the miracles you're talking about, your experience. I mean, right now you're sitting watching the sunset with Loulou Celest.
Yes,
I mean,
it's the beautiful woman here. I know.
Ah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't even know what to say about love and all this. We complicate it a lot, all us humans, I think. And maybe because it is complicated sometimes. But sometimes I also feel like we overcomplicate it a bit. Right? Sometimes we need to just let things happen and allow things to happen.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who is afraid to love a transgender person?
I'm just being quiet because I've never got that question before, and it's a good question. What would I say to someone who is afraid to love a transgender person?
Because that's what I noticed among men.
Yeah.
When I meet a Tinder date, they always like saying that, oh, you know, I have matched with so many lady boys, or like this transgender wants to meet me right away. And then they were like, I can see they were like, they can be attracted.
Yeah.
They would be like curious, but they have so much fear.
Yeah.
Or there will be another group of people, they will be like, totally no, don't come to me, you know.
I would probably encourage them to, this is going to be a longer answer, but I would probably I could use myself as an example, and I would encourage them to dare to be curious about why they think or feel the way they do. I would invite them to do that. Because I can say in my own life, that's one of the things that's brought me the most blessing, the most gold, the most knowledge about myself, and the most blissful experiences in life has been asking also, like I said, because I had a lot of transphobia regarding myself also. Let alone imagine I also had these feelings about other people, but then I'm one of those people. And you imagine the self-hate also, right? So the question was very simple. It was like, whenever I felt or thought a certain way about something, I would ask, where does this come from? Right? Does it come from me? Because a lot of the time, it's also something that comes from that's not so fully formed an opinion. We go through the world and we just pick up different opinions. Okay, it's like that. And as being socialized as a man, there's a lot of things that like you don't talk about things. You just dang dang dang. This is how it is. Dang dang dang. Act like this. Talk like this. Da, 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 da. Transgender. This. This is hot. This is a woman. This is not a woman. A woman should look like this. A woman shouldn't look like that. A man should act like this. All these things. So it can be very beneficial to try to like be curious about that and explore, how do I actually feel about that, and how, if there wasn't any societal pressure, how would it be? Because this is also the case for many trans women when dealing with men, is that like the man is super attracted to them and can be super sweet and loves them, but is not willing to show to the rest of the world that they're with a trans person because of the stigma and because of the consequence. What will other men think? What will women think? What will women think? Which is a very real thing. Which is a very real thing that people experience, right? So I would be curious about that. I would encourage people to be curious about themselves.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love this conversation. Yeah.
I love it too.
Oh my God. Okay. So, what would you say that, like, any advice for our listener? Like, they're listening to you now. Like, any.
Regarding what?
Yeah,
Because
last
we've
words.
talked a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah, any last words that you would like to give our audience, and then where they can find you?
I don't know. My last words would be that we have no idea what's happening inside of other people. Like, no one knew that I was transgender if I didn't show them I was transgender. No one knew.
Mm-hmm.
And what we say that's hurtful or that can affect people so much. So I would advise people to just try to be a little bit nicer to each other, even though it sounds so, but it's like, this is the essence of a lot of things. It's just that, try to be a little bit nicer. Try to choose love.
Choose love, not war. Make love, not war.
Yeah, choose understanding. Try to understand. Try to cultivate compassion. Right? We need it. The world needs it. When people. Okay, we're wrapping up. I had another story came up. Can I tell it? Okay. It was an example of there was some kids. I don't know how young they were. Maybe kids. I don't know what we call them kids. There were some young people. They were maybe 16 years old. And they were in front of the grocery store where I came by. And I'm not sure I had my operation yet also. So I received even more crap than I do now. And I'm walking into the store and they start calling me names and they start laughing. And they're also a bit very, very intimidating. It's not nice, right? And somehow this day, something comes over me. So I walk up to them and I confront them. And in this split second, I'm also afraid of what's going to happen. But I also feel so angry that they dehumanize me like that. So I'm like, okay, let me try to humanize myself to them.
Okay.
So what I say is that I say to them, I'm a human. It hurts when you laugh at me like that. I don't like it. This doesn't really land with them. They still start, blah, 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 blah. And then I see that they're selling these julemærker, it's called. In Denmark, it's something you sell for charity to help underprivileged kids. So I point that out to them. So I say, but you seem like really nice guys because you're actually out here in the cold. Yeah. It was very cold in my country. Actually out here in the cold trying to help underprivileged kids. That's a really nice quality. And that changes the situation. They sort of light up because maybe I should also add to the story that like they themselves look like sort of they come from backgrounds that are a bit rough. Let's put it like that, right? So they're not used to people seeing the good in them. They're used to people being intimidated by them. So they light up, and this changes the situation.
Wow.
Because they start to see me as a human also, that sees something good in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would leave people with that also, that we can see the good in others, and it can really help to transform situation. And it can be very hard, and it's not something we should use as another thing to bonk ourselves in the head with if we can't succeed in. But if we can succeed, it's very powerful because everybody wants that. No one wakes up in the morning and tries to ruin everyone else's day. It's not why we're here on this planet for. We want to be happy. So that will be my finest, maybe, but my final words. And you can find me on Instagram at the moment, where it's Loulou Celest, DETLOUCELEST. And there I'll also post my rap and do things about my life and la la la, the cute stuff. Da 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 da.
Thank you, Loulou Celest. You are inspiring. You rock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Loulou Celest, what a legend. So it's been an honor to have met her and then share so much love in this podcast as well. Of course, there are so many updates coming up for Loulou Celest's world tour. I really wish her all the best. Yeah, she's inspiring. She told me if she can just inspire one person, that's enough. She inspired me so much. And I hope you also gain something out of this podcast. So see you on the flip side. And thank you so much for Loulou Celest.
Thank you. Yum, 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 yum.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pai Love Story. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who once loved in Pai or someone who still believes in magic. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow along for more stories from the mountains. Until next time, stay open, stay wild, and let love find you.